listening to Your Secret is Safe with Me, non-judgmental talk about infidelity with Dr. Marie Murphy. If you're looking for new perspectives on complicated relationship issues, you've come to the right place.
Days go by, they're crawling by.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Marie Murphy, and I'm a non-judgmental infidelity coach. If you are cheating on your partner or having an affair or engaging in anything you think counts as infidelity, I can help you deal with your feelings, clarify what you want, and make decisions about what you're going to do. No shame, no blame, no judgments. I help people with all phases and all aspects of infidelity situations. So no matter what your unique situation looks like, no matter what questions or challenges you're struggling with, I can help you navigate your infidelity situation in a way that's truly right for you. Let's be honest, engaging in infidelity can be exciting and life-affirming and wonderful in so many ways and for so many reasons. But engaging in infidelity can also be stressful and exhausting, and it can eat up a lot of your precious time and energy and sanity. So when you're ready for some relief and a clear path forward, let's work together. There are 2 ways you can have me as your coach. We can work together one-on-one via Zoom, or you can enroll in my online course. You're not the only one. To get started with either of these options, go to my website, mariemurphyphd.com. I can't wait to meet you. All right. In the previous episode, I started talking about the possibility that you might want to have better sex with someone that you haven't had great or even good sex with in a long time, or perhaps have not had any sex with at all in a long time. And I talked about how important it is, if you are in this kind of a situation, to take a few steps back and think about the context in which good sex occurs, or the conditions that make enjoyable sexual experiences possible. I also talked about the fact that it is possible to start or restart having really enjoyable sex with someone you haven't had great sex with in a while or ever. But I also emphasized that this may not be possible. And I talked about some of the indications that having better sex with a particular person just may not be in the cards. And then I told you that if there weren't any glaring indications that having better sex with the person you want to have better sex with might be very unlikely, your job was to start thinking about your person in ways that help you cultivate feelings of sexual desire for them, or at least the stirrings of sexual desire for them. And I gave you that assignment because if you can't summon feelings of sexual desire for the person you think you want to have better sex with, the whole thing is kind of over before it starts. There's not much point in trying to have better sex with your partner if you don't feel sexual desire for them. That might sound obvious, but there are lots of reasons why people want to feel desire for their committed partner. But wanting to want something and truly wanting to do something are not the same thing. However, if you are in the position of wanting to have better sex with someone, and you did what I suggested in my last episode, and you found that you were able to feel some desire for your partner, terrific. Let's talk about the next steps for creating the conditions in which better sex with your partner might be possible. I'm going to continue to operate from the example scenario I used last time. In our example, you are married or are in a long-term committed relationship, and you care about your spouse or committed partner very much, but your sex life with them has been dormant for a long time, or unsatisfactory for a long time. Plus, you are or have been engaging in some kind of infidelity. You're either having an affair with a particular person, or you've been involved with multiple people, but whether it's one person or a few or more, your infidelity sex has been amazing. But whether because of this or in spite of this, you would rather be having amazing sex, or at least good sex, with your committed partner. Many factors can contribute to having great sex or better sex. As I talked about last time, if we want to have better sex, it really helps to have a reasonably concrete understanding of what we enjoy sexually or what we want to explore sexually. The point isn't that you have to commit to a set of likes and dislikes and stick to them forever, but rather that having a reasonably clear idea of what you want will help you get it. We often operate under the vague but powerful assumption that great sex is something that either just happens or just doesn't happen. But that's not quite how it works. We have a fair amount of power to make great sex happen, or at least make it a lot more likely to happen. So today I want to talk about a few other factors that contribute to having better sex, which are closely related to each other. I am willing to bet that your experiences of great sex have had a few very important things in common. I'm willing to bet that when you have experienced great sex, you have been fully present for the experience. I'm willing to bet that you have been all in on experiencing what was happening in the moment. I'm willing to bet that when you've had great sex, you have been totally engaged with your partner and whatever you were doing with them. I'm willing to bet that when you've had your best experiences of sex, you have been totally focused on your partner or partners and your experience of being in your body and whatever else may have been relevant to your experience of being in that moment. I'm willing to bet that when you've had great sex, you were not thinking about your job or your best friend's cat dying or needing new tires for your car or your next vacation or your kid's tennis tournament or when you're due for your next colonoscopy, right? Unless thinking about colonoscopies turns you on, in which case maybe you were thinking about your next colonoscopy. But you get my point. Now, I am not saying that presence alone or focus alone or engagement in the moment alone is what makes sex great. But I am saying that it's going to be pretty hard to have great sex if you aren't fully present, engaged, and focused on what's happening. And here's the thing. Sometimes it's really easy to be fully present, completely engaged, and totally focused. Sometimes being present, engaged, and focused takes very little conscious effort. And it can be really lovely to have this kind of experience. Finding yourself completely absorbed in something without having had to put any work into focusing on it can be wonderful. It's like watching a movie that you are immediately intrigued by. Paying attention comes effortlessly, and that can be a really enjoyable experience. But sometimes paying attention doesn't come effortlessly. Sometimes it takes a lot of effort to be even remotely present, focused, and engaged, even when we theoretically want to be present, focused, or engaged. And sometimes the only way to get what we want out of life is to summon the will and exert the effort to be intentionally present, focused, and engaged. For example, even if you love your work, there may be times when you would rather enjoy the myriad distractions that are readily available to us than do the next task at hand. Even if you deeply care about the work you do, there may be times when you have to firmly and deliberately keep your focus on your duties if you want to get anything done. And this isn't a problem. It's just a reflection of the fact that even when we really love and care about something, our minds may not automatically focus on that something. We can easily squander our focus. We can easily succumb to distraction. But the good news is, using our power to focus more intentionally is a skill we can cultivate. And that's going to be an important skill to cultivate if you want to have better sex with someone you haven't had great sex with in a while. Chances are pretty good that if you've been with your committed partner for a while and you haven't been having satisfying sex with them for a long time, you have gotten out of the habit of being present, focused, and engaged with them. You may never have cultivated the habit of deliberately being present and engaged with them. Perhaps at one time you were able to focus on them without exerting much effort to focus, but as soon as paying attention to them started to require effort, you may have kind of stopped doing it. And although this can have serious consequences for a relationship, there's nothing wrong with you if you did this or did something similar to this. We are taught implicitly and explicitly that love and attraction and desire are experiences that just happen to us and should just happen to us, and that naturally fizzle out over time. So many of us never got the message that love and attraction and desire can be cultivated deliberately and intentionally and successfully. But indeed, you can cultivate love and attraction and desire deliberately and intentionally. And what I want to suggest to you today is that being present and engaged with someone is the foundation upon which love and attraction and desire can be deliberately built. Now, here's the thing. If you are engaging in infidelity and having incredible sex with someone other than your committed partner, and that incredible sex comes effortlessly, the question on your mind might be, well, why should I bother trying to have better sex with my spouse if it's going to take so much effort? The great sex I'm having with this other person just happens and it's amazing. Why should I have to put all of this effort into connecting with my spouse? And the answer is you don't have to, and you shouldn't unless you want to, but you might want to. A lot of people find that effortless or automatic knee-jerk attraction dissipates over time, but that doesn't have to be a problem because the kind of attraction and love and desire you have the power to cultivate intentionally can be even deeper and richer than the kind of feelings you may experience unintentionally or spontaneously. Effortless attraction can be great, for sure, but it's not the only version of great. It's also important to point out that if you have been involved with your spouse or committed partner for any length of time, you probably share a lot of life business with them that has the potential to dilute or distract from your attraction to them or from the potential for you to be attracted to them. On the other hand, your relationship with your affair partner is probably pretty protected from the distractions of life business. You and your paramour probably want to focus on each other, and you probably have the opportunity to enjoy doing exactly that without anything else competing for your attention. And your time together is probably limited, so you probably take full advantage of that time by being fully present with them, right? It may seem hard or even impossible to create that kind of focus, the kind of focus that you have with your affair partner, with your committed partner. But I want to suggest that it really is possible to be a lot more present with your committed partner. And I want to suggest that even if there are a lot of potential distractions that could interfere with you focusing on them, your committed partner, you get to choose how you deal with those potential distractions. So, if you want to have better sex with your committed partner, the next assignment I have for you is to practice being fully present with them. What does this look like in practice, you may ask? What do you actually do to be present with your partner? Well, it's pretty simple. You just be with your partner or engage with your partner and give them your full attention. This is incredibly simple. You might have all kinds of reasons why you don't want to just do this, but you really can practice just doing this. Spend some time with them and give them your full attention. You don't have to stare at them as if you're scrutinizing their every move. Just turn your focus towards them and away from other things. It can be a soft focus. Just make sure it's an undiluted focus. Put your phone down. Set your mental to-do list aside. Allow whatever tasks you could be accomplishing to go undone for the moment. See what it's like to just be attuned to your partner, even if nothing terribly exciting is going on, and even if they aren't doing anything that you find particularly captivating. Now, you don't have to just focus on them. You can engage with them too. If they're talking to you, pay attention to what they say. Practice being interested in them and curious about them. And see if you can do this even if they're talking about things that are not inherently fascinating to you. Now, don't freak out. I'm not telling you that you have to doom yourself to an eternity of conversations about things that you don't want to talk about. But I'm willing to bet that if you have an affair partner and you've been having great sex with them, you are pretty darn fascinated by nearly everything they say. And I will tell you that it's not because everything they're saying is inherently fascinating. It's because you've decided to be interested in them. You may not have made that choice with conscious effort, but your interest in them is still the result of your choices. So see if you can intentionally choose to be more interested in your committed partner. I know it may take effort, but do it anyway. Sometimes when we've known someone for a long time, we start to believe that we know everything we could possibly know about them. But do you really know everything about your committed partner? For instance, do you know how their day went today? Maybe not yet. Do you know about their inner experience of their day beyond the basic details of what happened if you have already heard about their day? What did they take delight in? What did they struggle with? What's something that's bothering them? What's something they're looking forward to? What are they hopeful about? What are they worried about? You might not know the answer to these questions. These are things you could learn about them. You might not know all that much about their current state of being. And even if you do know something about their current state of being, there's probably room for you to learn more. So ask them questions. You can start by simply asking how their day was and paying attention to their answers and asking questions in response to their answers. Or you can talk about other topics. The point is to take responsibility for engaging with them and taking an interest in them rather than expecting them to do something or say something that you find really exciting or engaging. Practice meeting them with curiosity right where they are. If you have no idea how to do this with your particular partner, book yourself a coaching session with me and we will come up with a plan that meets your specific needs. And when you're talking to your partner, find ways of demonstrating that you are present with them. Ask follow-up questions that indicate you've listened to what they've already said. Look at them when they're talking. Stay with them. Stay with what's happening, even if nothing amazing seems to be going on. And on that note, it's entirely possible that when you start to practice being more present and engaged with your partner, nothing miraculous will happen right away. If it has been years since you've asked your spouse how their day was, they may not trust that you're actually interested in hearing their answer. They may say, fine, in response to the question of how was your day, and then go back to whatever they were doing before you posed your question. If they do that, that's okay. Your job is to stay present even if you don't get a reaction from them that you find immediately gratifying. Even if you ask your spouse how their day was and they have a lively response for you, you may still feel the urge to check your phone or get up and do something else, or let your eyes glaze over as you start thinking about something that seems more interesting to you in that particular moment. Practice staying present. Your brain may want to find something to focus on that seems insanely and immediately entertaining, thus providing you with a nice big dopamine hit. There's nothing wrong with wanting a nice big dopamine hit, but if you want longer-term satisfaction, You have to learn how to stick with things that are not giving you instant gratification. And although practicing being present with and interested in your spouse might bring you some instant gratification, it may also be a longer game. Now, what a lot of my clients say when we talk about this is, well, my spouse just isn't that interesting to me, so it's hard for me to pay attention to them. I'm sympathetic to this, but this can become kind of a chicken and egg problem. It's hard to find anything interesting if you aren't paying attention to it. And if you don't find something interesting, you may pay even less attention to it, and then it becomes even less interesting. And so goes the cycle. Remember, we are assuming that you have decided that you truly want to have better sex with your spouse. If you find yourself making excuses for why you can't be present with them and engaged with them and curious about them, that could be an indication that you're not really interested in having better sex with your spouse as an end goal in and of itself. It could be an indication that you want to have better sex as a means to some other end, like, for instance, finding a way to avoid getting divorced. I see this happening all the time, and I'm sympathetic to it. A lot of folks really don't want to get divorced and attempt all manner of things in the service of trying to avoid that path. But here's the thing, people. Trying to solve the wrong problem is never easier than trying to solve the right problem or the correct problem. If you say you want to have better sex with your spouse, but you're coming up with all kinds of reasons why you can't be present with them and ask them about their day and listen with genuine interest when they respond to you, you may be bullshitting yourself about what you really want. However, there is another possibility. It could be the case that you're just not in the habit of being present with your spouse, and changing that habit takes effort. And you may resist putting in that effort simply because it takes effort and it doesn't yield any instant gratification. Your brain telling you, I don't want to do that thing that isn't immediately exciting, is not necessarily an indication that you shouldn't do it. You might really want the thing that requires sustained effort and focus to create. You might well be able to be very interested in your spouse if you gave yourself the opportunity to intentionally practice being interested in them. So, your job is to practice being consistently present and engaged with your spouse and curious about and attentive towards them in your everyday non-sexual interactions. If you are currently having sex with your spouse or committed partner, or you have some sort of sensual relationship with them, by all means, be present and engaged with them then too. But if you don't have anything going on sexually or sensually, start being more engaged with them in non-sexual moments. I know some of you are still wondering what you can actually do to be present and engaged with your spouse beyond asking them how their day was, right? There are lots of possibilities here, but I really want to stress the importance of simple, unglamorous actions. Pay attention to them when you are interacting with them. Listen to them when they talk. Look at them when they talk. Think about what they say and do and respond to them thoughtfully. Ask more questions. If you currently have any physical contact with your spouse or committed partner, see if you can infuse a little more warmth into that. If you routinely give each other a quick kiss at certain points of the day, see if you can be fully engaged in that kiss, even if it only lasts a second. If you can stay with the kiss for 2 seconds instead of 1, do that. If you can look into your partner's eyes and smile at them after you kiss, so much the better. And of course, as you do that, be fully engaged in that kiss. In that moment, nothing else requires your attention. In that moment, your sole purpose is to be present as you kiss your partner. Nothing else matters. Now, people often say, oh, To reconnect with your partner or to reignite the spark with your partner, you need to go on date nights. Some people, even many so-called relationship experts, think that date nights are the way to enhance your connection with your partner. You know what I say to that? Fuck date nights. Here's why I say that. You can go on a dozen dates with your spouse and not be present for any of them. You could go on hundreds of dates with your spouse or your committed partner and not be fully engaged in your interactions with them. And what good will date nights of that nature do for you, right? So sure, go on date nights if you want to. Plan fun things to do with your partner if you want to. But if you are not present and engaged with your partner when you do these things, these activities or these dates in and of themselves probably will not do much for your relationship, right? So practice being focused on your partner in any context that you can. You can do this even if you aren't in the same physical space. If you're on the phone with someone, you can tell if they're distracted. You can tell if they're engaged. No opportunity to be present and engaged with your partner is too small or too mundane. Now, here's the other thing. In order for this practice to generate any kind of results, you have to do it consistently, and you have to do it for a while. What counts as a while? It depends on your situation, but I say start with 2 weeks. For 2 weeks, practice focusing on your partner and being present with your partner without expecting anything in return. Find a way to do this every single day. Why do this? Why practice being present with your partner even if it takes effort and isn't necessarily fun, at least not at first? Well, for one thing, if you're going to enjoy having sex with them, if you're going to have better sex with them, you're going to need to be present and engaged. How can you fully enjoy anything if you aren't focused on the thing you are enjoying or trying to enjoy? And if you're out of the habit of being engaged with your partner, you need to rebuild this habit. Furthermore, if you're going to take your sex life from wherever it is to wherever you want it to go, you're going to need to be really curious about your partner's experiences of sex. We'll talk about that more in the next episode. I promise we are finally going to actually talk about sex next time. For now, though, work on cultivating your engagement with them in non-sexual ways. Another reason why it's so important to consistently practice engaging with your partner is that before you can work on your sexual relationship with them, they may need to know that you're actually interested in them at all. If you have been checked out of your relationship with them for any length of time, they may have picked up on that. It's possible that you have been signaling disinterest or indifference for a while now. And they may have started to disengage from you a little bit too, or maybe more than a little bit. So in order for better sex to even become a possibility, they may need to see consistent evidence that you are interested in them and interested in connecting with them. I know you may be inclined to say, well, I need to see that my partner is interested in me too. This can't just be a one-sided thing. That's fair enough. But for now, I want you to take responsibility for yourself and for what you're putting into the relationship. Be willing to take the lead in ushering in a new era of connecting with your partner. Make use of your power to be the one who initiates positive change. If your partner doesn't reciprocate within a reasonable time frame, you can deal with that if and when that becomes an issue. Right now, that's not the issue. Right now, practice doing what you can to engage with your partner with focus and curiosity and see what happens. We'll talk about possible outcomes of this exercise and where you can go from here next time. As I said earlier, I am going to actually start talking about sex next time. I'm going to talk about how you can start thinking about how you might begin the project of actually trying to have better sex with your spouse, not just how you can set the stage for doing that. But everything I talked about in the last episode and in this episode is such important foundational work. So if you are in the midst of this process yourself, if you're trying to have better sex with a particular person and it hasn't been going well, I can help you evaluate your situation and help you figure out what you want to do differently. And of course, I can help you deal with all things related to your infidelity situation in a way that no one else can. If you're ready to work with me one-on-one, schedule an introductory coaching session with me today. I hold my one-on-one coaching sessions via Zoom so we can work together no matter where you're located. And if you're not in need of one-on-one coaching, but you love this podcast and you want to learn more from me, enroll in my course. You're not the only one. This course gives you structured teachings and assignments that will help you deal with your infidelity situation in a way that you feel great about. To book an introductory coaching session or to enroll in my course, go to my website, mariemurphyphd.com. Thank you all so much for listening. I wish you a wonderful day. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Your Secret is Safe with Me with Dr. Marie Murphy. Make sure to click subscribe to get updates on our latest episodes.